Part 32 begins in the lingering tension that hangs in the air long after the gavel has fallen, a tension that reaches beyond the hearing room and embeds itself in public consciousness, institutional memory, and moral expectation. The confrontation between Jasmine Crockett and Pam Bondi has transcended the moment of live questioning to become a masterclass in accountability, demonstrating how moral responsibility, legal authority, and procedural integrity intersect under scrutiny. The shadow of Jeffrey Epstein looms over the proceedings, symbolizing systemic failure, the cost of unacknowledged harm, and the urgent need for institutions to act with both empathy and rigor. Crockett's insistence on explicitly acknowledging survivors compelled the human cost into the spotlight, while Bondi's calm, historically grounded defense reminded all observers that credibility and legitimacy depend on context, precedent, and adherence to procedural norms. The tension between moral immediacy and institutional structure defines the exchange's lasting significance. Analyzing the interaction, Crockett's insistence reveals that ethical responsibility cannot be deferred or treated as symbolic. Her direct approach ensured survivors were acknowledged visibly and meaningfully, reinforcing the human dimension of accountability. Bondi's measured responses demonstrate that institutional credibility rests on explanation, procedural clarity, and legal context. Observers simultaneously weigh both dimensions, judging the authenticity of acknowledgement alongside the sufficiency of procedural defense. This dual evaluation highlights a critical lesson. Modern oversight is inherently multidimensional, requiring institutions to balance ethical, legal, and emotional obligations concurrently. The Epstein legacy intensifies the stakes, transforming what could have been a procedural inquiry into a test of moral and institutional integrity. While the hearing formally addressed past prosecutorial decisions, the broader narrative scrutinized systemic failures, social inequities, and the enduring impact of unacknowledged harm. Crockett's insistence forced recognition to the forefront, centering human experience as a primary measure of accountability. Bondi's procedural framing ensured historical actions were interpreted within context, maintaining institutional credibility. Together, their exchange exemplifies how oversight can harmonize empathy and structural rigor when confronting morally complex and historically charged issues. The hearing also underscores accountability's iterative nature. Single hearings rarely produce immediate systemic change, yet they set expectations, shape norms, and influence institutional behavior over time. Crockett's insistence may normalize explicit acknowledgement of survivors as a standard expectation in future proceedings, while Bondi's disciplined defense provides a framework for responsibly explaining historical decisions. Cumulatively, these moments embed norms where empathy and procedural clarity coexist, reinforcing legitimacy and moral resonance. Accountability is therefore continuous, evolving through repeated reflection, engagement, and public scrutiny. The tension between moral intensity and procedural composure illustrates a democratic principle. Conflict can refine institutions rather than weaken them. Crockett's urgency provides ethical clarity and moral framing. Bondi's steadiness preserves authority, structural coherence, and procedural legitimacy. Observers learn that effective oversight requires these forces to coexist, showing that neither empathy nor procedure can be neglected without consequence. The exchange serves as a practical blueprint for navigating ethically charged, legally nuanced scenarios, demonstrating the multidimensional nature of accountability in practice. Responsibility extends beyond officials to the public. Civic engagement, critical analysis, and ongoing discussion ensure that moments like the Crockett-Bondi exchange have lasting influence. The hearing, framed by Epstein's shadow, becomes a benchmark for acknowledging survivors, defending authority, and communicating with both ethical clarity and procedural rigor. Its enduring impact depends on public insistence that acknowledgement complements procedural fidelity, empathy reinforces authority, and oversight is executed to the highest standards. The lasting insight is that justice is holistic, integrating acknowledgement, empathy, and structured authority. The dialogue from this hearing continues to influence public expectations, institutional norms, and societal standards. Transparency, human recognition, and procedural rigor are mutually reinforcing pillars. The Crockett-Bondi exchange exemplifies how democratic institutions function under scrutiny, ensuring that ethical clarity and institutional integrity advance together, leaving a lasting imprint far beyond the immediate controversy.